Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my actual first video that I'm doing in my new studio. If you want to call it a studio. More of a room, but it's a little bigger than what I had previously. Better lighting. Got my guitars hung on the wall. Got my amps right here. It's going to give you a little tour. It's not done yet, but I wanted to try to check out all my stuff and make sure I got everything plugged in right. I still got boxes behind the camera that I'm still unpacking, but this will just give you a short look at where I'm going to be situated now when I record, when I do these YouTube videos, when I do my podcast. So sit back, enjoy, and let me know what you think. All right, let's get this started. So of course I've got to have the sign. I picked this up at NAMM. That's outside the door of the studio room. So let's go in, and we'll start with the guitars on the wall. That is my Fender Squier P bass, nothing fancy, but gets the job done when I need to track bass, especially going through the Helix. Sounds great. Got a closet here with curtains up, and not really anything interesting in there except for my guitar cases, some stands, some bags, some boxes, box of CDs. Like I said, nothing fancy in there. Right here I have my ESP Sambora SA2 with the Pearly Gates pickup. I haven't used that actually in a while at a show. I've been using my, moving over, I've been using my Strats. This is a Floyd Rose Strat. Right here, this is more for when I want that, more of a bluesy sound, a jazzy sound. It's not really a metal guitar. The pickups are not hot enough, but it's good for, you know, stuff like I'll Be There For You, things like that. Even Who Says You Can't Go Home. And then this is my main guitar recently, which is, I just call it the Mutt. It's a 24 fret Floyd Rose with a D-tuner on it, and DiMarzio. I believe they're Air Norton, and it's another DiMarzio. I'm not sure. I think it's an Air Norton, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, but they're both DiMarzios. Guitar sounds great, plays really well, feels good. That's my main guitar right now. I like these nice curtains. So over here, that is my 1991 Ernie Ball Music Man EVH. And this is the guitar, if you watch some of my other videos, this is the guitar that's just beat to hell from just, it was the only guitar I played for like 20 years. So let me try to, sorry for the camera, but let me try to get in here. You can see there's some nicks and all kinds of stuff on this guitar, but it's been through a lot of wars with me. So a little scratch there. The neck is still pretty good. I had it refretted, but right up there is when I dropped it and it hit my Helix. I didn't drop it. It was actually the strap came off when I stood up and it hit my Helix. The Helix was fine, but this can be repaired, and it will be. I just haven't had a chance to. I'm gonna do it at some point. So love that guitar. It's pretty much retired now. It's gonna stay on the wall, and that's that. This is my Line 6 JTV James Tyler 69, which is the Strat model. And this guitar is very, very useful in the studio to get certain side. Like I just recorded something and I needed a banjo. I can dial up a banjo on it. Sounds good. I did swap out two pickups. I put I'm trying to remember. I did it so long ago. I think it's a DiMarzio, and I think it's an Area 57 in there, but so when you're just playing it as a normal guitar, it's really, really well built and plays well and sounds really good. I've used it many times at gigs. It just depends on the gig what I want to use it for. So those are the guitars. All right, now we're over to amp land, and as you can see, cable land, and that's the stuff I bring to gigs. I get all whatever I need extra as far as carrying cables and stuff like that. Exciting. So right here I have a Line 6 Firehawk 1500. I use that at depends on the gig. If I'm playing a gig where it's a very confined space, or I need a quick setup, but I want to have a decent monitor on stage with me, I'll use this. And I also have the Line 6 G70. I have 2 packs. This is the main one. But this thing does get loud. It sounds good. And like I said, I just use it on gigs that I just can't bring the full rig to. Down here, that is a Lapo Line 212 cabinet. And the tape's on there for some recording I did to mic up the speakers. But again, the same thing with, with the pickups. I don't remember. I did put different speakers in here, and I don't remember what I put in here. One of these days, I'm gonna have to go in and inspect all this stuff. I just too many other things that are more important. But that's a Lapo Line. It's actually a really good. It's not that heavy, but it's a really good sounding cabinet. So moving over, as you know, I'm back to my DSL 100. The JCM 2000. The last gig I played, I did use the amp with the Helix, but I used the Helix in 4-cable method, and I used mostly tones, pretty much all the tones from the amp itself, and I just used the effects on the Helix. And this is the 1936 212 with the stock speakers in it. This is what I've used in the last couple of gigs. Over here is my 1960 412, which has the 75s in it, the Selection 75s, the stock stuff. I think I'm gonna bring this one out for the next few gigs with the head. So that is it. I'm not a big, I've sold many amps and guitars over the years, and I've whittled it down to, just what I need, what I use all the time. As you can see, the room is not that big, so I just don't want to have even more of a mess in here. So I got what I need, I got what I use, and that's it. We're on to the brains of the whole operation, and I bet you thought it was me, but no, it is not me. It is my pedal board, which featured on there is the Line 6 Helix. I've been using it this is my second go around with it. So all in all, probably close to 2 years using it, and I love it. And it just keeps getting better and better. I'm waiting for the new firmware to drop. 2.5 should be out any day now, because they have a Friedman BE100 model coming in it. And if you've watched my other videos, you know I love that amp. That's my tone. So I'm hoping they got close with it. But this is actually a new preset I'm working on. I'm going to be using the amp models in the Helix, sorry, along with using the power section of the Marshall here. It sounds damn good, and this one preset should give me everything I need to do a show without having to, by using snapshots, without having to jump around to different presets. So that's basically controlling everything. I also have the Rocktron Banshee talk box, obviously because I do the Bon Jovi tribute. And this one right here I've been using for 15 to 20 years. It's still going strong, knock on wood. I do have a backup, but it's treated me well. It sounds great. And then I have the Line 6 G70, which has, like I mentioned, I have 2 packs. So I have 2 different channels set up for different guitars. And then I also have the ABY, the Whirlwind ABY selector, that lets me switch between the talk box or the Helix, amp combo, or I can do both at once. But I'm pretty sure that the Helix is going to be able to replace this. I just have not gotten around to routing that and figuring out. I'm pretty sure it's as simple as putting the Banshee into one of the loops, which will free up a spot here. And I'm open to suggestions of what to add here. I'm actually looking at that Digitech Freakout pedal. I've heard a lot of good things about it using with the Helix. Believe it or not, I have not watched any demos on it or listened to it or anything like that. It's on my list of things to do. So if I like what I hear, I might just grab one of those and throw that there eventually. But the Helix, if you haven't checked out the Helix, now I've owned Kemper. I still sell Kemper profiles with a friend of mine. I love the Kemper. Don't own it anymore, but I have access to one. I own the amplifier from Atomic. I've owned the Axe FX, I've owned the AX8, the FX8. The Helix to me does what all of those do, really well. Some things better, some things not as good, but the flexibility and how just the ease of the way you can just dial things in 2 seconds on this thing without even reading a manual, and the flexibility, the portability, all the ins and outs, all the things. There's so many things you can do with this Helix. That's what won me over to using this instead of those other products, which I still love. If you haven't checked it out, and there are a lot of guys out there that hate, just don't like Line 6 products based on, like, say, their Spider Amp series, which really isn't fair, because this right here is probably the best piece of gear I've bought in a long time, and I'm going to be using it for a while, and there's still a long way to go in its life cycle. They're going to be updating and updating. There's no end in sight for it. It's their flagship now. I have the Helix native plugin, which is basically the same thing, but on the computer to record with Logic. But tell you the truth, I have a Mac Mini, and it can't be updated anymore. It's getting kind of slow, with the resources on it. I'm gonna have to update that at some point. But I use the floorboard into my interface here, the Focusrite, mainly because if I'm using native, using that plugin on different tracks, it tends to bog down my computer a little bit, because it's just my computer just can't handle it. It's no fault of native. It's my computer, which is why I want to upgrade. But this just makes it easier for me to actually just plug this in and get the guitar sounds I need on any track without having to use resources on the computer. So it's an incredible piece of gear, and I'm going to be using it for a long time. And like I said, it's the brain of the whole operation here. So if you haven't checked it out, if you for whatever reason you never liked Line 6 because of this or that, this is in a completely different ballpark as far as what they're capable of. And when you pair this with the Variax guitar, it's just you could use that one guitar in this and show up to a gig, and you could go play when I say anything, you can play anything, any style of music, any type of stringed instrument, really. I mean, you can get a sitar on that Variax if you needed one at a gig in a pinch. So definitely check out the Line 6 Helix. They have the rack. They have the LT, which is the lighter version, which it doesn't have all these, they call them scribble strips. It doesn't have that, but it has all the buttons, has a little less ins and outs on it. But this right here, and now they came out with the HX FX, which is pretty much without the pedal, so a little smaller, like maybe right here, not as tall or deep, but it's meant for guys that are using tube amps and just want really, really good effects and just everything in one box. That just came out at NAMM, and that was one of my highlights of going to NAMM, was seeing that thing. I got to get one somehow. Don't know when, but especially after just buying a house. But this does everything I need it to do. So that is my pedal board, and it's probably going to stay like this for the time being, for a while, because everything I need is right here. There really is no other reason to explore other options except for getting rid of that and putting another pedal there. All right, now my desk. This is the desk that I built a year, maybe 2 years ago. So I got this is the mic I use for most of my podcasts. It's the Blue Yeti USB mic. And I mean, it sounds good for vocals too, which I don't really do much of that, but it's here if I need it. Here's a Richie Sambora action figure. I gotta find somewhere to put that. But my studio monitors, I've been using these M Audio AV40s for, I don't know, probably, 5-6 years now. And they're small, but my ears are so used to them. They're tuned to them, so I know what they're supposed to sound like, and it makes it easier for me to mix. I do plan on getting the bigger, 8-inch, but for now these are fine. Up in the corner here, I got my TV, which Hired Gun is on right now on Netflix. If you haven't seen that, check it out. Really good documentary. And then I have my main monitor, which I'm going to be upgrading at some point, probably the computer too. And hey, there's an elephant. That's my secondary monitor, which it's a TV, but it works fine as a secondary monitor. I do have a DVD player. It's just not hooked up yet, in case I want to watch a movie in here for whatever reason. Probably never will. I got a mic splitter, line splitter right there. This is my Scarlett, Focusrite Scarlett 18i6. That's where all my inputs go into that to get sound into the computer. Simple stuff. And then I have the Behringer X-Ear XR16, which I was using mainly for my in-ear system live, but I got sick of lugging it around and getting it all set up. So instead of selling it, I put it in the desk, and I can actually, I can get 8 tracks and actually 16 tracks out of this. So I can run, I get everything mixed in here off my iPad, and then I can run stereo out of that into the Scarlett and then record or whatever I need it for when I'm doing a live stream on YouTube or something like that. That's basically it. And I did find my old voiceless, I don't want to call it a poster, I don't know what you call this thing, banner that I had made when I came out with voiceless back in 2000, I think it was 14. I found it when we moved into the new house. It was packed away somewhere, and then pulled it out. I said, "Oh, I'm just gonna hang that on the wall." But anyway, that's the new studio room. I'm still working on it, as you can see. I'm gonna have cable TV installed in here at some point in the next couple of weeks. Almost forgot. It's my MIDI keyboard right here, 88 key. That's actually gonna get. I have a piece of wood. It's already stained and everything, the same as the desk. That's going to go under, and it's going to slide out. So when I need to add some kind of keyboards in or whatever, it's there. It's going to be right there, easy access. But that is the studio. Thank you for watching. And another thing I forgot, my new light. So if you saw in the intro of this video, if the lighting was pretty good, that's the light. Got it off Amazon, pretty cheap too. It was like 20 something bucks, and they give you this thing. It works well. But one more little glance around the studio. Hopefully I'm not making you dizzy with this, but that is it. That's the studio. Should be a lot of fun. I plan on pumping out a lot of cool projects out of this, beginning with the podcast, with the YouTube channel, and just recording in general. So there you have it. It's a new studio. I'm underneath a really bright ceiling fan light right now, but I didn't feel like setting everything else up to say bye to you guys, and hope you can keep checking out the podcast, let people know about it. Check out my YouTube channel for more videos, and I'll be doing more live streams coming up. And hope you dig the studio. Say hi, send me an email, comment on the videos, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.